Hello there. Why are we being told that there are UFOs buzzing around all over the place and that alien activity is now not being ruled out? Why the tectonic shift in the narrative? What function does this serve? To be blunt, what the flying objects is going on? When I encounter such stories, the first thing my naturally cynical mind wants to know is, who does this information benefit? Does this push any specific agenda, or is this something else? And at the moment, the whole thing is awash with mystery and confusion. But we have learned some new terminology, haven't we? In that the US Air Force has managed to decommission 3 unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, using kinetic action. So after decades of suppressing all talk of the existence of UFOs, or UAPs as they have been rebranded, and going to great lengths to ridicule anyone who even hints at their possibility, we suddenly have the US and Canadian authorities shooting down 3 unidentified objects above North America while studiously omitting the letter F from UFO, and also saying that no one knows how these things were able to stay off the ground. And then saying that they cannot rule out extraterrestrial activity. Talk about a massive shift in the tectonic plates of a narrative. Then we're told they don't know what these things are, but then they do, and then they don't. While they also seem to shapeshift from being small cylindrical devices into large car or even bigger sized octagonal objects with strings hanging from them. Surely some fighter pilot took some pics before the missiles were let fly, especially if they thought they posed no direct threat. Now, as I said yesterday, shooting first and understanding later could be counterproductive if it turns out that these particular objects shot out of the sky have bigger siblings. But we are assured by the experts that Joe Biden, Justin Trudeau and NORAD wouldn't have taken these things down unless they were 100% sure there would be no repercussions. So what is it? Are these things dangerous or not? And if so, why? Or is this all about building some sort of narrative, but building it on a sand of misinformation, whatever that misinformation might be? Now, many people will say it's all about the Chinese enviously eyeing Taiwan, but just stand back and think about that. Is shooting a couple of weather or spy balloons out of the air really going to send any messages? Especially when the Chinese are claiming there are 10 or more US spy balloons operating in their airspace. And further, the Chinese Air Force was readying itself to decommission a similar object flying near the city of Qingdao. Or is the Pentagon trying to secure more defence and NASA funding by trying to convince everyone that the US is falling far behind China in the weapons and spying tech department? None of this really adds up for me in the wheels within wheels and cogs within cogs dirty world of international politics and diplomacy. And don't forget that the Russians have talked about UFO sightings and claim to have shot down a ball UFO over the Rostov Oblast in January, although that area does border on Ukraine. And now we have the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak jumping in and declaring that the UK skies are safe. But with the Defence Secretary Ben Wallace ordering a defence review and saying we will be working closely with the US and other partners to ascertain the risks from Chinese spy balloons. And we're told that UK quick reaction forces are ready to shoot down all Chinese spy balloons that operate within our airspace. Just as an asteroid named SAR 2667 soared over Western Europe and lit the sky up with an airburst over the English Channel. All unexpectedly but perfectly timed to add to the general hysteria. But the UK is talking about defending itself from balloons just after the Pentagon was on about weirdly shaped objects that can maintain altitude and manoeuvre about with no visible means of lift or propulsion, leaving them unable to rule out extraterrestrial UFOs. And US General Glenn Van Herk saying that this apparent lack of propulsion or lift is why they are calling them objects and not balloons. And everyone's rushing about pointing fingers this way and that. So is it all a big distraction game, or the US military trying to protect its budget, or something else? And in all probability it's just a mixture of them. Governments are always trying to deflect attention from something, and government departments will always use opportune events to clamour for more funding, and there's always something else. But this time for me, the underlying shift in the tectonic plates of this particular narrative have been so severe as to suggest that something very big is coming down the pipe. But what that very big thing is, one can only speculate at this moment in time. I'm not sure it's about a single issue or following the money, as this involves powerful people from around the world, like from the US, China and Russia, people who probably don't need more money or more power. But they do seem to need something else. But what would that be? But I'm sure it will come as the ultimate revelation when all is eventually revealed. Who are you? What do you want? Command, Agent X is in. Understood, Command. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could just have your attention. And over to Richard.
UFOs. Pentagon not ruling out aliens. Why is the official narrative seemingly changing around unidentified flying objects and alien life? And more to the point, why now? As a musician, I am always acutely aware of timing in a piece of music, and as we all know, music is the space between the notes, and the same applies to looking at world events. So what I want to know is, why would there be a shift in the rhetoric around UFOs and alien life at this specific moment in time, straight after a global health emergency and billions of people have had you know what? And let's not forget the ongoing conflict in Europe, the push for the push for us all to stop eating meat. Yes, and global warming and that. I tell you what, there's something afoot. It's like one gargantuan world event taken. Is it gargantuan or gargantual? I always get it mixed up. I made a word salad yesterday, and I swore I would not make another one today. But I think I've been possessed by Joe Biden. Anyway, it's like one very big world-changing event taking place after another. Now, I'm not saying all these things are in any way related, but I'm also not saying they are not separate incidents, because in life you can usually follow a pattern within events through observing timing. Think I'm going too far? Really? Well, if I said to you 4 years ago that everyone would have to stay at home and have holidays in their own living rooms for weeks and months at a time because of something that posed much less of a threat than we were told, if I'd have said that to you, you would have laughed at me. Oh, and most people then would roll up their sleeves and have something that was far, well, some would argue, far more dangerous to them than that which the sleeve was rolled up for. But that's what some people are saying, yeah. Anyway, you would have laughed at me if I told you that was going to happen. But it happened. We live in fear, and we have lived in fear since the end of 2019. And since then, all things to be fearful about have popped up with unnerving regularity. And now there is the prospect that we are not alone in the universe. And after the predictive programming of the past few decades on alien life, there will naturally be an instant fear response to go along with. Yes, to go along with all the other fear responses we have been told we should have. Everyone is asking, what's going on? And I have my own beliefs about what's going on. But through playing music, I have learned that timing reveals the foreshadowing of what comes next. And the same applies to world events. And don't forget, we live in a world filled with information and disinformation. And sifting through the two is not easy. So, what's going on? Let us know in the comments below, and if you think these are random events or the manifestation of sequential planning, you say so. Let us know. Type away. Anyway, I'll see you at 5:45 tomorrow. 5:45, 5:45, 5:45.